Hello folks, I've just been away for a couple of weeks in the UK, so I've missed a couple of weeks of vlogging, and what I'd like to talk about today is related to an experience that I had on that trip, which was I spent a couple of days, or one of the things I did while I was over there, I spent a couple of days with an executive team. And they're a function within a large organization, a large global organization. And they were working on their partnership, their business partnership, their relationship with the business units of that company. And they really needed to reinvent themselves to be more strategically impactful as a function. And they were talking about being bolder and being more confident and being more engaged and more visible and basically just strengthening that relationship and that business partnership. And it was interesting because what surfaced was an assumption from that team, which I call the be-have fallacy. That is, when we have the credibility in the organization as a function, when we are perceived to be as valuable as we think we are, then we'll have the confidence to actually be bolder and to strengthen our relationships and to be more proactive with the business units. Now, this is a really, really important one to surface for a team, because actually what we were talking about was flipping that on its head and saying, actually what needs to happen is this team, this function needs to be different in order to have a different relationship with the business units. They need to be bolder now. They need to be prouder now. They need to be more confident now. They need to be more proactive now. All of those things that they were talking about now, in order to have what they want, which is the credibility, which is the perceived value as a function that they believe they deserve. And it's a really interesting topic, this, because I think we underestimate generally the being aspect, and we spend way too much time doing. I heard yesterday from a fantastic coach that I've just met, Sheridan, that there's been studies done on the effectiveness of leaders long term. And one of the interesting themes that this research that she was referring to arrived at was that top leaders disproportionately think about how they're being compared with those that are not as effective. So an example of this was a woman who said that she looks at the day's meetings that she's got coming up ahead of time, and she actually assigns an adjective to each of those meetings for how she wants to be. I don't know, courageous, bold, curious, whatever it is. How she wants, not what she wants to do or say, that's a separate issue, and that's also important. But I would argue from a psychological point of view that people actually are remembering and impacted more by how you're being than what you do or what you say. I actually remember as a teenager, when my objective was to pick up girls, thinking about how I wanted to be at the party that I was about to go to. And my go-to was I wanted to have size and I wanted to be outrageous. Size was like I wanted to be big, I wanted to have a big presence, and I wanted to do something memorable. And actually, these days, I do a very similar thing with coachees. I think about the session, I think about what we're trying to achieve, what they're trying to achieve. I put together an agenda, of course, in terms of what I think is going to be useful for the coachee, but actually how I'm going to be with them is very different between sessions. For some, it might be very forward and very challenging. For others, it might be very supportive and empathic. And as an ex-actor, I think it's really useful to have loosened your sense of identity and realize that actually we can be genuinely, authentically, a variety of different ways in life. Anyway, that's my musings after a couple of weeks away. I hope you're all well. Have a great week, and I'll speak to you soon.